Hi everyone. I said I would send a video along to help you with this essay assignment, so here we are. The first thing I wanted to point out to you is that this is in fact an essay, so I need multiple paragraphs. They should be written in MLA style and formatting, and if you use any document that hasn't been given to you, for example, I'm giving you the Declaration of Independence, therefore you don't have to cite it. You're going to be incorporating personal stories. You don't have to cite those. But if you use any materials outside of that, then I do want you to cite your sources in a works cited page and within the text. Again, I don't think that you're going to need any additional sources for this, but if you do, I'll need to have you cite those sources. Okay, so you've been working with the Declaration of Independence now for a few days, hopefully, and you've read through not only the Declaration, but also thought about certain aspects of the Declaration and what you think those excerpts mean. So I've pulled out, I guess, one of the main excerpts from the Declaration that I think has a lot of content in a very concise amount of space. And that excerpt reads, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." So that's a lot to unpack there, and that's kind of part of your analysis, is to break that down and think about what those statements really mean. What do they mean to you today? Think about what they meant in the past. Think about what they meant when this document was created. After you've spent some time, think about America today. From your personal experience and observations, discuss how it meets the promise of this excerpt and how it does not. Do all American citizens have the equal right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? You are going to answer this question, and keep in mind that there is no right or wrong answer. But whatever your response is, it must include specific examples from the Declaration, as well as from your own life experiences and or observations. So it's possible that you could be looking at, say, something in the news as an example that may not have happened to you personally, and certainly that's fine as well. Okay, so one of the things that this prompt asks you to do is to use these examples from the Declaration and from your life and your observations to support your thesis. So one of the main words here is thesis, and a lot of you are intimidated by that concept. So I like to give a little bit of assistance as far as that goes, and I want to tell you that your thesis answers the question this essay is going to explain, and then fill in the blank. Okay, so that's basically how you can start a draft of your thesis statement. Now, ultimately, what you're going to do is only use this part for your thesis statement, and then you're going to cross out this part, because we don't actually ever want to write a thesis statement or even a topic sentence that says this paragraph is going to explain or this essay is going to be about. But what it does is it gets your brain kind of wrapped around the concept of what it is you're trying to accomplish. I apologize if there was a little cat meow that you might have just heard in there. So for this, you're answering the question, do all American citizens have the equal right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? In order to create your thesis statement, you may want to answer that question. All right, so let's go ahead and put that prompt question right there. Do all American citizens have the equal right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? What I would recommend you do is kind of make a list, and perhaps you might even do a yes and a no, and then create underneath each list reasons why, examples, personal accounts of how and or why you believe all American citizens have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or why you don't believe so. And I just put specifically reasons, examples, personal accounts, but obviously what I want you to do is give the examples. So just for argument's sake, since it's blank under no, I'm going to put no because there goes the cat again. Sorry about that. I'm going to go ahead and put systemic racism here. And then maybe I'm going to explain how many black citizens don't receive equal opportunities in the workplace. So that's just one example, and I picked one of what I probably could have selected a million different examples. And then I would probably delve into this a little bit more deeply, and also this would not be my only example. Anytime you're engaged in a writing activity, if it's one paragraph, you always want to have 3 supports. If it's an essay, you always want to have 3 or more supports. So again, I'm giving one example here, and it's not very specific. I would definitely need to support this in some way, like give an example of how there are some citizens who don't receive equal opportunities in the workplace. And honestly, I could take this from systemic racism to anti-Semitism to anti-LGBTQ plus policies. I mean, it doesn't really matter. You can look at this from any perspective, from any lens. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. This is your perception. So while you are analyzing sort of contemporary society and also this piece of the Declaration of Independence, it is based on the lens through which you are looking. Okay, so keep in mind that your response is going to be very different from anybody else's response, and that is to be expected. I don't have any expectation that I'm going to see the same thing from all of you. In fact, if I did, it would bore me to death. So definitely make this a personal piece, but focusing on the question and making sure that you reflect back on the Declaration of Independence. And so while it gives you the quote here, do we have an equal right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Of course, we see life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness up here in the document. We also want to talk about government. We want to talk about unalienable rights. We want to talk about this statement that all men are created equal. And then we want to incorporate those concepts into our response. Okay, so hopefully this little tidbit of sharing helped you to think about how to approach this essay. I'm happy to discuss it with you further if you would like some additional support. What I would ask you to do, though, is to make sure you've done all of the work leading up to this essay before you reach out to me. Because if you haven't read the Declaration, if you haven't created yourself a little pre-writing list, then we're not going to have much to go off of. So make sure you've done all of your work up to this point and also thought about the prompt and how you feel in terms of responding to the prompt. Do you believe, yes, we all do have an equal right, or no, we all do not? And perhaps your answer is going to be mixed. In some ways, I think we do, but in some ways, I think we don't. I think it'll be more convincing if you pick one side or the other. But again, I'm not concerned with your perspective. I'm concerned with the way you write it and the support you offer for your claim. Okay? Your claim is your thesis statement. Again, please reach out if you have any additional questions. I hope this was helpful, at least a little bit, and I look forward to seeing your responses. Have a great week.